Right now, the Social Security Administration is sitting on $1.9 trillion in wages it cannot match to any American worker's account. $1.9 trillion, reported by employers, taxed from paychecks, paid into the system, and just sitting there, unclaimed. According to a 2023 audit by the SSA's own Inspector General, roughly 8.5 million new wage reports get added to that pile every single year because the SSA cannot figure out who they belong to. And here's the part that should literally stop you cold. Some of that money may actually be yours, not because you did anything wrong, not because you defrauded anyone, but because of filing mistakes, paperwork mismatches, and gaps in the system that the SSA will never call you about, never write to you about, and in many cases, never even detect. What they will do is calculate your monthly benefit based on whatever numbers are in their system, right or wrong, and send you that check for the rest of your life. Today I am going through 3 specific mistakes that are permanently reducing Social Security checks for retirees right now, who they affect, how the damage happens without anyone knowing, and exactly what you need to do to find out if it has happened to you before it is too late to fix it. Stay until the end. The third mistake is the one that blindsides married couples the most, and by the time most people find out about it, they have already made a decision they cannot undo. Before we get into it, subscribe and turn on the bell notification right now. None of what I am about to cover is something the SSA will explain to you on its own. That is what this channel is for. Subscribe now and let's get into it. Let me explain how Social Security calculates your monthly benefit, because once you understand this, the rest of what I'm about to tell you becomes impossible to ignore. The SSA takes your 35 highest earning years. They adjust each year's income for inflation. They average those numbers together, and that average is the foundation your entire monthly benefit is built on. Every delayed retirement credit you earn, every cost of living adjustment you receive for the rest of your life, all of it is calculated as a percentage of that base number. Get the base number wrong and everything downstream is wrong with it. Permanently. Now here's where the mistake comes in. The SSA does not independently verify your earnings. They rely almost entirely on what your employers reported. And employers make mistakes. They transpose Social Security numbers. They misfile paperwork. They report the wrong dollar amount. And when they do, those incorrect numbers go straight into your record. The SSA accepts them, files them, and moves on. Consider Robert, for example. He spent 38 years working in manufacturing before retiring at 66. He never had any reason to doubt his earnings record. His employers deducted payroll taxes from every check for 4 decades. He assumed the money went to his account. 2 years into retirement, his daughter set up a My Social Security account for him at ssa.gov just to have a look. What they found stopped them both. 4 years in the 1990s showed earnings significantly lower than Robert's actual W-2s from those years. 1 year showed 0. Why? Because during that stretch, Robert's employer changed payroll systems and submitted his wages under a slightly different name variation, Bob instead of Robert. The SSA could not match it. The earnings sat in limbo. Those 5 missing or reduced years dragged down his 35-year average. His monthly benefit was roughly $110 lower than it should have been. Not catastrophic on its own, but over 20 years of retirement, that is $26,400 he should have received and did not. The good news for Robert is that he caught it. He gathered his old W-2s, filed Form SSA 7008, the request for correction of earnings record, and submitted his documentation. The SSA corrected the record and recalculated his benefit. The bad news, he had already left 2 years of the higher benefit on the table before finding the error. Here is who is most at risk for this mistake. Anyone who changed jobs frequently. Anyone who worked for a small business with manual payroll. Anyone who worked in a cash-heavy industry. And this is a big one. Anyone who was self-employed at any point in their career. If you were self-employed, your Social Security credits did not come from an employer's W-2. They came from Schedule SE, the self-employment tax form attached to your annual tax return. If you ever skip that form because your deductions wiped out your income tax bill, listen carefully. Your net income may still have exceeded $400 for the year, and if it did, you owed self-employment tax. If you did not pay it, the SSA has no record of that income at all. Those years show up as zeros. 0 income years that should have been earning years drag your average down, and your monthly benefit is lower for life as a result. What you need to do is go to ssa.gov right now and create a My Social Security account if you do not already have one. Pull up your earnings history. Look at every single year. Cross-reference against your W-2s, your tax returns, your pay stubs. If anything looks wrong, a year that is too low, a year that shows 0 when you were working, start gathering your documentation and file Form SSA 7008. One corrected year of earnings can increase a monthly benefit by roughly $100. Over a 20-year retirement, that single correction is worth $24,000. Check before you claim. The longer you wait after filing, the harder it becomes to prove. This one hits a very specific group of people hard, and that group is enormous. If you are a woman who got married between the 1960s and the 1990s, there is a real chance that some of your working years are not credited to your Social Security record, not because of fraud, not because of any mistake you made intentionally, but because of a paperwork disconnect that millions of women never knew they needed to manage. Here is what happened. You got married, you took your husband's last name, your employer updated their payroll records to reflect your new name, but nobody told the Social Security Administration, so your employer started submitting your annual W-2s under your married name. The SSA received those W-2s. They tried to match your name and Social Security number against their records. Your Social Security number matched, but the name did not. You were Mary Johnson in their system. The W-2 said Mary Williams. The SSA could not confirm the match, so instead of posting those earnings to your record, they placed them in something called the earnings suspense file. The earnings suspense file is exactly what it sounds like, a government holding area where wage reports go when the SSA cannot attach them to a specific worker's account. That is where the $1.9 trillion figure from the opening comes from. A 2023 audit by the SSA's own Inspector General confirmed that number. And critically, that same audit found that nearly half of all mismatches in that file are never corrected, ever. Not because the SSA is corrupt, not because they are hiding anything, but because the workers those wages belong to have no idea the problem exists. Nobody told them to check. Meet Patricia. She worked as a school administrator for 22 years. She got married at 28, took her husband's name, and kept working under her married name for the rest of her career. When she retired at 65 and started reviewing her Social Security statement, she noticed a strange gap. 7 years in the middle of her career where her recorded earnings were either missing or far lower than she actually earned. Those 7 years were sitting in the suspense file under her married name, unmatched, because she had never formally reported her name change to the Social Security Administration. She had not known that was required. Nobody told her. The impact on her benefit was significant. Those missing high-earning years replaced by zeros in the calculation reduced her monthly check by nearly $200 compared to what she should have received over a 20-year retirement. That is $48,000. And this problem is not limited to name changes for marriage. The same suspense file issue happens anytime an employer submits a W-2 with a misspelled name, a transposed digit in a Social Security number, or a slightly different version of a name than what the SSA has on file. Women who married, divorced, or changed their names more than once carry significantly elevated risk. But anyone whose employer ever made a reporting error is vulnerable to the same outcome. The fix starts at ssa.gov. Check your earnings record for gaps. If you find years that are missing or lower than expected, gather your W-2s from those years. The SSA accepts them as proof of earnings. You can also request W-2 transcripts going back to 1978 directly from the SSA, free of charge when the request is Social Security related. File Form SSA 7008 with your documentation. If your name is not already updated in SSA's system to match your current legal name, take care of that first. Bring your marriage certificate or legal name change document to your local SSA office or handle it through ssa.gov. One important note on timing. While the SSA has a general correction window of 3 years, 3 months, and 15 days after the year wages were paid, there are exceptions for clerical errors in documentation, supported discrepancies that allow corrections beyond that window. Do not assume it is too late. Check the record and contact SSA. The older the records, the harder they are to reconstruct, but it is not automatically impossible. This is the one that lands hardest, not because it is the most obscure, but because the people it catches are usually couples who thought they had done their research. They knew about claiming ages, they understood delayed credits, and they still walked into this trap because the SSA has a rule buried in the filing process that works completely differently from what most people expect. It is called deemed filing. Here's how it works. If you are married and you file for your own Social Security retirement benefit, the SSA automatically treats that as an application for spousal benefits too. If you qualify for them, you do not choose. You do not opt in. The moment you file for one, you are deemed to have filed for both. The SSA then pays you, whichever amount is higher, your own benefit or the spousal benefit. Fine so far. The problem is what happens when you file early. Take Carol and Dennis. Dennis has the larger earnings record. Carol worked part-time for much of their marriage. At 62, Carol decides she wants her own Social Security check. She files. The SSA pays her own retirement benefit because it is higher than the spousal benefit at that moment. 5 years later, Dennis reaches full retirement age and files. His check is $2,800 per month. Carol now realizes she may be entitled to a spousal benefit. Up to 50% of Dennis's full retirement benefit would be $1,400 per month. Her own benefit is $900. The spousal benefit is higher. Here is where the trap springs. Because Carol filed for her own benefit at 62, 5 years before her full retirement age, the early claiming penalty applies not just to her own benefit. It carries over and reduces the spousal benefit as well. She cannot receive the full $1,400 spousal benefit. Her total monthly payment is calculated based on the reduced amount she locked in at 62. The penalty she accepted when she filed early follows her into the spousal benefit calculation and cuts it down permanently. Had Carol waited until her own full retirement age of 67 to file, she would have received the full 50% spousal benefit, $1,400 per month, instead of the reduced amount. Over 20 years, that difference runs well into the tens of thousands of dollars. Now here is the flip side of this trap, and this one catches the couple who does everything right. With your own retirement benefit, waiting past full retirement age pays off. Every month, you delay past 67 adds 0.667% to your check permanently, maxing out at age 70. That 24% bonus for waiting from 67 to 70 is real and significant. But that rule does not apply to spousal benefits. Spousal benefits do not grow past full retirement age. If your maximum spousal benefit is $1,400 at age 67, it is still $1,400 at age 68, age 69, and age 70. There are no delayed credits for spousal benefits. None. So the spouse who waits until 70 to collect their spousal benefit, thinking they are doing the smart thing, the disciplined thing, has simply left 3 years of checks on the table with nothing to show for it. The SSA will pay a maximum of 6 months of retroactive spousal benefits if you file late. Beyond that, the money is gone. The right strategy for spousal benefits is to claim at exactly full retirement age, not before, which reduces the benefit permanently, not after, which forfeits income for no gain whatsoever. One more thing on this. If you are divorced and were married for at least 10 years, you may be entitled to a benefit based on your ex-spouse's record, even if they have remarried. The deemed filing rules are somewhat different for divorced spouses. Contact SSA directly about your specific situation before you file anything. Now let us put this all together. Mistake number 1, your earnings record. The SSA calculates your benefit based on what employers reported, not necessarily what you earned. Employer errors, missing self-employment filings, payroll system changes, all of it can drag your base benefit down permanently. Log into ssa.gov, review every single year, and file Form SSA 7008 if anything is wrong. Mistake number 2, the name change gap. If you changed your name at any point in your career and never formally updated it with the SSA, years of earnings may be sitting in the suspense file right now, unattached to your record, uncounted in your benefit calculation. Check your record for missing years. Gather your W-2s. File for correction with documentation. Mistake number 3, the deemed filing trap. Filing early for your own benefit locks in a penalty that follows you into spousal benefits too. And waiting past full retirement age for a spousal benefit earns you nothing. There are no delayed credits on that side. The only right age for spousal benefits is full retirement age, 67 for most people claiming today. The Social Security Administration processes your application, calculates a number, and sends a check. It is not their job to tell you that number could be higher. It is not their job to flag errors on your record. It is not their job to explain claiming strategies your situation qualifies for. That information exists, but you have to know to go looking for it. That is exactly what we do here. Subscribe, share this with someone you know who is approaching Social Security or already collecting. One conversation about any of these three mistakes could be worth thousands of dollars over retirement.